The Declan Rice saga's moving fast, really fast. We knew it would. Don't be at all surprised if there's another update later on today with Arsenal making a third bid. But if Arsenal do make a third bid, it's going to have to be really, really good. Because the news behind this particular report is that Manchester City are really confident of getting Declan Rice. Now, I alluded to this in my late night upload last night about them putting the feelers out, about them really trying to find out from Declan Rice's team whether or not he would have any interest of going to the Etihad. It appears that he has. Those are the noises not only coming out of Manchester, but also we've actually had some contact with the club. Not Manchester City, West Ham today, and West Ham have confirmed that there's been ongoing dialogue between West Ham and Manchester City. There's a really interesting quote that's come out about all this, though, and that is that Manchester City are increasingly confident and they're not bidding blind. Now, I find that really interesting. What does that actually mean? It means that they know exactly what Arsenal are going to do because they've asked to be briefed. I think the thing is that Man City have gone about this in the right way, and that may well prove to be very productive for them. They've gone about it in a friendly way. They've approached West Ham, excuse me, I dropped my microphone receiver there. They've approached West Ham and said, can you keep us informed? Arsenal have kept West Ham at arm's length. And they've dealt with Declan Rice's team. They've come up with some pretty shoddy offers for Declan Rice, which West Ham have said they find it embarrassing. So there's not been a sort of friendly dialogue between Arsenal and West Ham. So when Man City come in and speak directly with West Ham and they say, can you keep us abreast of what's going on? We're interested in Declan Rice. We'd like to bid for him. Can you keep us abreast of what's going on with Arsenal? Let us know what bids come in and then we'll enter the bidding at some point. We are serious about Declan. There's definitely friendly relationships between Man City and West Ham, and I think that's going to stand Man City in really good stead. However, what Man City did want to do is they wanted to ascertain whether or not Declan Rice was interested, and it appears he is. Now, I quote, and I am going to quote. Oh, look, quick pit stop, quick glasses pit stop here. It basically said City have promised West Ham that they're ready to make a bid in the next few days. City don't get involved in bidding wars unless they know they will ultimately win them. That's really important. Said Pep absolutely loves Declan, and he has done for a long time, but he only wants players at Man City who are going to fully commit. He wants whoever joins Man City to be fully behind the project. A point here being is that if they didn't have absolute assurances that Declan wanted to play for them, they wouldn't bother bidding. They don't want someone that's there half-hearted. If Declan had turned around and said, I'm not really interested, I just want to go to Arsenal, I don't really want to move, then they wouldn't bother. The fact that they are bidding shows that they've had those assurances. The quote goes on to say that the bids are now in, and that's bad news for the Gunners. Arsenal know City aren't bidding blind. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. And City have a degree of optimism. City expect to get close to 100 million, but it's not about the money. It's always been about whether or not the player is motivated to join them. Forget the narrative that he needs to stay in London or that he wants to be a future captain of Arsenal one day. He has the chance to play for the best team in the world under the best manager. Declan's midfield. Anyway, there's a load of stuff about other stuff. That really has put some meat on the bones of the story. Now, hold on, pit stop again. Now we do. There's always been this consideration that he wants to stay in London and how much that plays into it, and factors into it. But I do wonder if Declan's had been able to have a good, long, hard look at this in the last few days, and think actually playing for Man City, playing for Pep Guardiola, he could just win an awful lot of trophies and go down as a decorated player. There's a lot to be said for the Arsenal project, but you are buying into a project with no guarantee of trophies. Now, I don't think you're necessarily guaranteed them at Man City quite like you're guaranteed them at Bayern Munich, but you are guaranteed trophies at Manchester City. This comes to the second part of this, which is I really like what's been going on at West Ham in terms of how we've dealt with this. West Ham came out with a messaging yesterday, and the quote was from West Ham, "We are not going to be lowballed on this offer. If it means if it's a choice between us getting less than our valuation or hanging on to Declan for another 6 to 12 months, we'll do the latter. And this is exactly right. That's exactly what the messaging should be. There's something else this is another quote that's come out of West Ham, a top source at West Ham today, which was that Man City's offer was much better than Arsenal's. And here's the quote: if Man City had offered what Arsenal did, then they'd have been laughed at, and West Ham would have laughed at them. But Man City were never going to do that because Man City have asked to be kept in the loop. And this puts massive pressure on Arsenal. The ball is in. It's over to you, Arsenal. The ball is in Arsenal's court now. Because they know Man City are interested, and they now know that, I don't know why I'm hitting myself. And they now know that Man City are going to pay a lot of this money up front. I've mentioned it in numerous videos, certainly last night's. Man City are willing to pay the initial payment. Last night's offer was 80 million plus 10. They're willing to pay the 80 million over the first 2 seasons. It's really important for us in terms of our buying power, particularly with UEFA financial fair play, was a lot stricter than the Premier League financial fair play. That will really allow us to go and bolster our squad with the Rice money rather than it being spread over 4 years, which is what Arsenal were proposing. Arsenal will now know that Man City's initial bid has been rejected. Man City will know that they're going to come in. We keep on talking about 120 million. Reading between the lines, and this is not a quote from a source in the club, this is me reading between the lines here. I think if we can get over Jack Grealish's amount, so technically we can say it's a British record transfer fee, the deal gets done. You get a feeling with Arsenal that they've been scrimping around down the back of the sofa, tipping out the piggy bank, trying to get the coins together. Taking stuff down the pawn shop, not that pawn shop, by the way, just to try and get the money, all the money that they can to get the deal for Declan Rice done. They had a transfer budget, as I mentioned in yesterday's video. Why they went and spent a load of it early on a non-priority player, I don't know. It's left them with a little bit of a shortfall, and they are going to have to scrimp to get it. Apparently some meeting was convened with Edu and Arteta and whoever. It wasn't, I forget the name, it wasn't Kroenke, it was the chief executive, about getting the Declan Rice deal done. But they're not going to be able to come back to West Ham with what, in essence, is a hire purchase agreement in many respects. They want to pay it in all these instalments. West Ham don't want that. So their next offer, and there may well be a third offer today from Arsenal, but it's going to have to be good. It's going to have to be structured in a way that is attractive to West Ham. So it's going to have to amount to more than 100 million where we feel we're going to get it. And it has to be paid, at least 80 million of that 100 million is going to have to be paid over the first 2 years. It's as simple as that. And here's the thing, even if they do that and West Ham accept that bid, and say, we accept that bid. Before they accept that bid, they're going to, because they're on friendly terms with Man City, they're going to tell Man City, by the way, Arsenal have come in with a bid. We're going to accept it. This is the accepted value. Out of courtesy, did you want to make a bid? And that says everything. That says everything between the way of doing it in the sort of snide way, which I think Arsenal have done it, all at arm's length. Everything at arm's length with Arsenal. All done through Rice and his agents, and then incrementally up in the bids, meeting with people to discuss it early, rather than going straight to the buyer, which what Man City done, the seller, which what Man City done, straight to the seller. They've built up, they have credit in the bank, and I don't mean financially, I mean goodwill. They have goodwill built up from West Ham, Man City. So this is going to be really, really interesting. I don't know what's going to happen, I don't pretend to, but it does appear now that Manchester City are increasingly confident of signing Declan Rice.